It is official. Donald Trump has been found guilty of fraud. It's a civil fraud trial case in the amount of $250 million. The person who judge and conclude the case named Judge Arthur had found him guilty of fraud for many years by inflating his net worth, basically inflating the property's value to get loans from the bank and close many business dealing. And I quote from the case itself, he had routinely defrauded the bank and the insurers and others. So the judge basically canceled his business licenses and wanted to put a court-appointed receiver to be in charge of his property. So basically, they closed down his business, and anybody that involved it, from his employees to his actual family who's involved, will need to stop doing the business because the actual license to do business has now been revoked. And Donald Trump, of course, has been fighting this profusely and asked the judge to A, delay the case, B, stop this process. So another judge take on his appeal and only agreed to stop the exchanging hand of his property at the moment, but did not delay this case. And of course, this have a lot of repercussion as it's affect his presidential campaign next year. Some of the really obvious point from the case, like the fraud point, was Trump has been valuing his Mar-a-Lago club at $500 million on his book, even though he signed a deed in 2002 with the National Trust for History to only use this property as club. So it's not one of his property that he developed and then just sell as almost like an inventory. So then it can't be value saying like it's ready for sale. It must be used as a club. So the valuation is very aggressive, $500 million, and it's not supposed to be used that way. So another example was when he purchased his golf course in Jupiter, Florida in 2013. They paid $5 million, but put on the book as $46 million. So of course, this elevated of value came from nowhere. And when asked for the reason, they were saying that in case they have to pay back the dues or fees paid by the members. But then it was like a one-side booking, which is not a proper accounting. It's definitely cook up the book to show that how can you just record the asset and not the liability side, if that's your explanation. So basically the book was just putting these absurd value to inflate his net worth. Of course, if you have a lot of asset on the book, then you can borrow more. So that's some of the obvious fraud point. Not only Donald Trump has been found guilty, both of his sons have been as well because they're directly involved. So the result of this case is so severe, it actually will break down Donald Trump's core value, fortune, or whatever image he has been using to run for the presidential election in the past or in the future. He has been claiming he's a very successful businessman, he's a billionaire, but now it's no longer the case because after stripping down the actual facts, he was just a fraudster. So it is a very, very severe case, even though it's just a civil trial, not a criminal case. And definitely the success of the campaign that he's going to run for next year president also heavily rely on this. So he has been to court very religiously to make sure that he handled this case, but it does not look good on his side at all.